Thanks for tuning into the Urban School Podcast. I'm back with another excellent week of collegial basketball, women's basketball to be specific. So just a rundown of the weekend. SEC was won by South Carolina. The ACC was won by Duke. The Big Ten was won by UCLA. And the Big 12 was won by TCU. The Big East tournament, well, the finals is tomorrow. So that's still to be determined, but it looks like UConn is the favorite for that one and more than likely will win that championship for the Big East. But it was a lot of storylines this weekend, starting off with, I believe, Thursday or Friday. A lot of storylines, but the biggest storyline is South Carolina Gamecocks. Every team this weekend showed weaknesses and vulnerability, but South Carolina showed their championship pedigree as they had big wins over Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, and Texas. Um, and with South Carolina, it's very difficult to prepare for them because they don't have one set star. So they have a collection of players who just contribute, somewhat evenly. And they have a lot of bench star power or bench performance. A lot of the bench players are putting up points and contributing high points. So in the Oklahoma game, the bench, put up 56 points. And a lot of that has to do with the electric play of Malaysia Fulwiley. She's very electric, can get down on the break. Uh, she kind of reminds me of a female Allen Iverson, the way she can get out in the open court and go against the taller defenders and do these acrobatic layups and different shots. So she's very talented, but she is coming off the bench. But I think it's a good thing because she's bringing that energy off when the starters are kind of not giving their best or kind of having a bad day. She comes off the bench and is very electric and performs at a very high level. Now, when I was thinking about the South Carolina Gamecocks and what are they compared to, I thought about the Patriots when Tom Brady were winning Super Bowls, or the 2004 Pistons, where they didn't have a set star, but they had a great collection of team members and had great coaching to supplement that. So when you game plan for South Carolina, you can't just key on one player, which I'll talk about other teams that has those same characteristics, which can be a very fatal flaw in this tournament atmosphere. And I'll get into that in a little bit. But another takeaway that I have from this weekend is that Joyce Edwards is the second best freshman in the country behind UConn's Sarah Strong. Now, Joyce Edwards is another player that comes off the bench mostly. She's not a starter, but her skill set and her ability to score and create electric plays is very noted or very essential to their team. Now, Sarah Strong does start for the UConn Huskies, and she's alongside Paige Beckers and Azia Fudd as well. But when Sarah Strong has a skill set, she's able to shoot threes and stretch the floor. Joyce Edwards doesn't have that skill set as much as Sarah Strong does, but she still has room for improvement as they're both freshmen. So it'll be interesting to see what the starting lineup looks next year for the Gamecocks. And will Joyce Edwards be in that starting lineup? But right now, she's coming off the bench, but she's contributing high minutes and is very vital to the team's success as well. UConn looked very good this weekend as well. Like I said, they play the championship game tomorrow night. Another surprise that I have from this weekend is Duke winning the ACC championship, as I expected Notre Dame to win it easily, but Notre Dame was knocked out from North Carolina State. They was knocked out from Duke, sorry. North Carolina State was very impressive as well. They just take a lot of bad shots and have a lot of overconfident players, which, kind of sounds like a bad thing, but in a way it's a good thing. They get up a lot of shots, but they take a lot of shots out of confidence. If they're up by 15, they're going to take a lot of bad shots, and it showed in this matchup that they had this weekend. Texas was dominant until they ran into South Carolina. They lost major. South Carolina won every game by almost 20 points. I think they won today by 19, but the rest of the games they won by over 20 points. So very dominant, but Texas ran into the same problem that most of the teams in the tournament run into, like a USC, which I'll talk about in a little bit, is, you have one star player. So if we stop that player, can your other players contribute and carry the load, which they weren't able to do? So Texas had Madison Booker locked up for most of the game. Rory Harmon couldn't come through. Oldacre couldn't, get out of the traffic. They had her bottled up. South Carolina's defense was the story of the weekend, and is going to probably be the story of the year if they can pull out this national championship, another one again. But talking about to the star players getting locked down, Juju Watkins pretty much got locked down. She shot a horrible percentage. She scored close to 30 points, I believe, but it was on probably like close to 30 shots. They had her pretty much bottled up all game, and other players couldn't get out of the blocks. So they had a dominant lead at halftime with 10 points, but after the halftime, UCLA tightened up their defense and pretty much put the clamps on everybody on the team. It was very unfortunate, but it showed what they need to work on. Kiki Arafin and Rhea Marshall and all those guys, they couldn't get up shots. They couldn't figure out, how to score without Juju being locked up. And UCLA started a lot of turnovers. So they got the lick back from the 2 losses that they had from USC earlier. Now, I'm not sure how the committee will look at that on Selection Sunday. I'm pretty sure they probably still give UCLA a top seed. Hopefully, South Carolina gets one of those. But I get into more in depth before the Selection Sunday to make my picks for the number 1 seeds and so forth. But nevertheless, this was a big weekend for women's college basketball. Notre Dame, like I said, was a shock to me because they have the most star power. Olivia Miles, Hannah Hidalgo, Sonia Citron. They have so many different players. And West Bell, who actually went out with another nose injury, another nosebleed, and I think that affected the game as well. They didn't have a lot of players to go through after that. And Olivia Miles kind of, they set her down for defensive reasons and things like that. But Notre Dame has the most star power, but I think with matchups, they wouldn't be able to match well with UCLA, who has a true center in Lauren Betts, or South Carolina, who has have good defense. Notre Dame has that problem of making bad shots, shooting late in the clock, just not getting good looks. They have that problem sometimes as well. Because Hannah Hidalgo, while she is a good asset on the offensive end, she takes a lot of risk on the defensive end with steals and things like that, and it comes back to bite them sometimes. So, and then LSU is another team. They didn't have Flau'jae Johnson this weekend. They're expected to have her back for the tournament coming up, but they definitely need all their pieces. Michaela Williams is a freshman, so she's still finding her way. She's an excellent scorer, but she can only do so much. Anissa Morrows, which is a rebounder and a mostly defender, similar to Angel Reese, she won't give you much scoring, so they have to find scoring from somewhere, and Flau'jae provides that offensive and defensive power that they need to excel in this tournament. But it just appeared like the fatigue set in for most of these teams on the last day. Playing 3-4 days in a row, it can be tiresome, and a lot of these players were playing heavy minutes, as you don't really go into the benches much when you get in these tournament times, and the fatigue kind of showed. But Selection Sunday is next Sunday, so we'll know the men's brackets and the women's brackets, how that shape up, and then I'll make my picks. But until next time, I'll see you next time.